Thank you so much for joining us. It is Regnum Continuous Legal Education, and my name is Ruth Obu. Recall that last week we had a segment here with the barristers in the house. So today we're going to be looking at the part 2, and the topic is the role of private persons in the arrest and prosecution of offenders under the law, part 2. Of course, I'm not doing this alone. I have in the house some barristers here. They are so grounded with everything about, the legal, everything about legal education. So you feel free to call us in to ask any question and listen attentively, because today we're going to be rounding up with the topic, the role of private persons in the arrest and prosecution of offenders under the law. So if you have any question you couldn't ask last week, please feel free to ask this Friday, because we are rounding up today. Okay, I'm going to be starting with Christ's ambassador, Barrister Kenneth Itoro Abasi. Peace of the Father.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening,
viewers.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, I can see that. And then we also have in our midst Christ ambassador, Barrister. Sorry, in this, sitting, we are going to be starting, since it's a religious TV, we start with your portfolio in the kingdom before we now move over to what the Father has blessed you with. So we also have Christ ambassador, Barrister Itoro Idara Ebo. How are you doing?
Return the fire, doing well.
Okay, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How prepared are you?
The Father does everything.
Okay, welcome once again. Last week we talked about everything about crime. We talked about crime, offense. We also talked about the classification of crimes / offense, the types of offense, arrest, and the rest. So right now, because they have a whole lot to explain. Last week I think we stopped at the role of the duties of the Nigerian police force vis-a-vis other security agencies. So last week I think Barrister Itoro Abasi, Kenneth Itoro Abasi was doing justice. So I'd like you to continue from where you stopped last week.
All right, thank you very much, and good evening, viewers. To start today, we will recall that I had given a position of law that where the law provides when it comes to imprisonment as punishment and it is silent on fine in lieu of imprisonment can be given. But that where it is without an option of fine cannot be given or substituted with imprisonment. For that position, we have the case of States against Okechukwu, 1994, 12 Supreme Court 62. We also have the case of Parmadan and States, 1997, 3 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, part 493. At page 289. This is for the benefit of the practitioners.
Okay.
And then we go down, we were talking about that that in the case of civil matters, that the police will not have, that's under section 32 subsection 2, we said that of the Police Act, we said that it provides that a person shall not be arrested merely on a civil wrong or a breach of contract.
Yes.
If it is a breach of contract or a civil wrong, the police will not come in. And we're trying to cite a case of a tenancy. And for the purposes that people may not misinterpret what we try to say. If your landlord comes to you and asks you for NEPA bill, and you threaten him, the police has a right to come into that matter, because it is now criminal. Threats to life is criminal.
Okay.
If he comes into the property to ask you for NEPA bill and you slap him, that is assault. So it is criminal. It is also a civil wrong. It is also a criminal matter. But in civil, it will be called battery. Under the criminal law, it is an offense. So it's not that strictly because the man came to collect NEPA bill, you can do anything. No, there are rules. If in the process of asking for a NEPA bill, you kill the man, you stand trial for murder. So that is, we wanted to explain that. Now, under Section 32, subsection 3 of the Police Act, a suspect shall be brought before the court. We are now approaching why we are here. A suspect shall be brought before the court as prescribed by this act or any other written law, or otherwise released, conditionally or unconditionally. That is what Section 32 sub 3 says, while Section 33 of the Police Act states that in making the arrest, any other person, that is our interest, the police or any other person making the arrest shall actually confine the body of the suspect unless there is a willing submission to that custody by word or action. And what we are trying to say is that if, for instance, they say they are running after, you know how it normally happens, they will shout tifo, 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 and before, if the man said no, wait, I have submitted, well, what is it? What the law expects under that circumstance is that he should be left alone to explain himself. In fact, as we go down, you find out that I even have to tell him what he did. Don't just assume he knows. You don't assume that he knows what he did. You have to now tell him, we saw you stealing that camera. Let him defend himself. Now, under Section 34, it now states that there will be no unnecessary restraint unless there is reasonable apprehension of violence. We have seen that kind of situation. The man starts fomenting very serious trouble, or he is attempting to escape. He wants to escape by all means. He wants to run away. You know, some of them, when they are going out to steal, they must have acquired some other powers, and they must have taken some, you know, hard substances that make them very powerful. So they want to hit down everybody and go away. That is under that circumstance that the law expects you to restrain them. Either you can tie, or you handcuff, or you bundle, you understand, or you had a very waiting vehicle, you throw him in and people will block him from both sides. That is when the law expects.
So I have a question. How about shooting on the leg?
Shooting on the leg.
Because I have seen cases like that. Normally you're not supposed to, by any, I don't know, according to the law, I don't know if you're supposed to gun down a criminal or maybe make him or her, you know,
listen to what Section 34 of the Police Act says.
Okay.
It says the suspect or defender may not be handcuffed, bound, or subjected to restraint except there is reasonable apprehension of violence or an attempt to escape. So if it is a police officer that shot, but it has to be a serious offense, like armed robbery, like murder, they can shoot. Can shoot on the leg, yeah. Okay. We have seen that kind of cases. The law does not stop the police, but it has to be the police officer. Okay. While we are here, we are trying to show the role the private person plays, so that you don't go and play the role of the police officer, or the army, or the civil defense in the process of, as a private person, where you are trying to apprehend. You know, you are only helping the officers concerned, that establishment that is, you know, vested with that duty. You're only helping them to secure the arrest of the person. Okay. But they that have the right, for instance, that question is very important question you just asked. They that have the right can you know, can use some measure of force. It's called a measure of force to ensure his yes, to ensure with the offense that he has committed. For instance, if an armed robber, for instance, and is trying to escape, and the only way to get him down is to give him a shot on the leg, the law allows that. It does. But if it is in a case of simple assault, why will you gun down? When you can trace him to his house, somebody may know him, trace him to his house, they maybe get there and then they lay a trap for him, maybe for some days, and then catch him. Why do you gun down? So it has to do with, it has to be commensurate with the offense that has been committed, or where the offense that is being prescribed is a death sentence offense.
Okay, how about in a case where you see some people with gun and they tell you they are licensed to, even though they are private persons, they go there just in case because they have seen cases where they are going to investigate. Or,
yeah, it depends on the...
It becomes life-threatening and they have to stand up for themselves.
Yes, of course. If the gun is licensed, or the man is a senior officer in the military or in the police force, you understand, and he meets a situation where he tries to quell that situation and doesn't quell, and the only way, maybe the person was almost, maybe for instance, beheading another person, and then the only way is to shoot him, yeah, fine.
And maybe
The law allows that.
knows that he himself is next. So
Yes, yeah, or he sees that he's been threatened,
yes.
that if he doesn't do that, he himself is going to die, then
yes.
yeah, that measure of force is allowed.
So are you trying to say that it is expedient for private persons to go about their jobs with gun license?
No, you didn't ask that question.
I'm asking you now.
You are asking now.
Yeah, I came
Nigerian law does not allow that.
Okay.
That is allowed in foreign countries like the US. But Nigerian law does not allow you to go about with a gun. But where it is expedient that you have gotten to a certain level in the society where you should hold, then they hold a gun, then the police will issue you that license. And when they issue you that license, it's to protect your life. So when your life is threatened, as in when the situation, when the chips are down, and then they find out that your life was threatened, maybe by an armed robber or by a mob, and then you had no option. They were armed. Don't forget, they were also armed with a gun.
Yes.
So, and you had no option then, yeah.
I think that is one of the justifiable of self-defense.
Yes, of self-defense. Yes, even in the modern, that is self-defense.
Okay, thank you very much. Please
Yes.
proceed.
So, and then the other option is by order of a court.
Okay.
The court can order. You know, the court is the final arbiter in these things. Whenever the court makes an order to death, you know, to imprisonment, to payment of fine, it stands unless it is upturned on appeal at the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. Okay. Now let us get, when you arrest this person, like I said, Section 35, subsection 2 says, the person making the arrest or the police officer in charge of a police station shall inform the suspects of his rights to remain silent or avoid answering any question until after consultation with a legal practitioner. Under Section 36, subsection 5, the person is entitled to a lawyer of his own choice. He's not even only a lawyer, he's entitled to a lawyer of his choice. So he can tell you that his lawyer is in Sokoto. You people have to wait for him, for that lawyer that is practicing in Sokoto to travel all the way down to you. That is the lawyer of his choice. So it's not, lawyer is everywhere. Please just call a lawyer. No, it has to be the one of his choice.
Okay.
Now he has to consult. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. He has to consult a legal practitioner of his own choice before endorsing or writing any statement. Very important. Before he writes the statement or answer any question put to him during the arrest, that his lawyer has to be around, and they must have to consult with each other. He must tell the story of what happened to his lawyer, and his lawyer must have to advise him on the possible defenses and the possible statement that he can make to the police. It's a fundamental right, because he might, in the process of wanting to pour out everything, end up getting himself involved in what he did not do. So it is the job of the lawyer to come in and give him the advice on what, are the ingredients of that offense. Now, in case it is a serious matter, then free legal representation by legal aid counsel, like we said last time, where we cited Section 46 of the 1999 Constitution, that the court will appoint. And now the authority having custody of the suspect, that is whether it's the police, whether it is the civil defense, whether it is the army, shall notify the next of kin or relative of the suspect. You go to a police station, or you find out that so many people are in the cell, and then they may not even know the reasons they are there. They may not even know the relatives, the parents, in case of may not even be searching here and there. They may not even know the police station where he is being held. The law now expects that the police officer in charge will ask him, unless if he is a person that is wandering, he was just wandering about, and once the person was wandering, if he's a wanderer, then he presupposes that he had criminal intent.
Yes.
Because if you are a wanderer, you didn't know how you got from Ebonyi State to Cross River State, then it means that your intentions were not genuine. In such circumstances, that is where they are allowed to languish in the police cell. But if they can tell that my father's phone number is this, my brother's phone number is this, I am living at this, the law expects you to get in contact with them and say your ward, your son, your daughter is in the police cell. And he has to be accorded humane treatment during the process.
Okay.
So at that point, let me allow my colleague to step in and say what he has to add.
Okay.
Most often, you see police, when they arrest somebody, they handcuff the person. Except as otherwise earlier stated here. The police have no right, and it's statutory. When we say statutory, the law says you shouldn't. It's both constitutional provisions, like it is section 37 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999, as amended, as human dignity. You have to treat any person, no matter the level of commission of offense. You have to give him the dignity, treat him humanly. So, issue of handcuffing, maltreating, beating, and all whatnot, the law does not permit.
So what then do you do when you see a police? Because I recall the case of, what is his name? Our brother from the Western Ward. Yes, he was killed. I think he had heart attack. Yeah, he kept telling the police that he's not okay. His hand were behind his back, you know, and then he was also kneeling on his back, therefore making the problem to be even unbearable until he lost his life. And he had a younger one. I recall that the police that had that case was, I think he was jailed or something. But back here in Nigeria, we see a lot of this. Like, I see how the Westerners arrest people. Like, they kind of do it nicely, even though I think that's just what the camera shows us. We don't know what happens behind camera, but fine and well, that's what they show us, and it's nice. But here in reality in Nigeria, we don't see such cases here. They come to you, they make it look like you just stole.
They have already condemned you.
Exactly. So what then do you do to a police? Because they are supposed to be for us, not against us. Even though you do something bad, they're supposed to like tell you nicely, and maybe you have every right to remain silent until you get to. But they say that they still go about, you know, hitting you and doing all sorts. Those things are not nice. People are watching, and they may think that you stole something, even though you didn't steal. Maybe someone just went to report a case, and it will be very bad for you to erase that action from the minds of the people. So what then do you do to such police?
There is police disciplinary committee. There's such a body. That is one of the steps. Then the court is always there.
You file fundamental right.
Okay.
For you to go and seek redress in the courts. In fact, the court does not want to hear those things. Court does not want to. It's a constitutional right that your right should not be violated. Your right should not be violated, except according to the law. Section 45 of the Constitution says, I've provided an exception. So the police or whatever law enforcement agencies in Nigeria cannot, and they must not. But most often, when my right is being violated, either I hand it over to God, I just keep silence.
I think that's what is killing the Africans, you know, because we have our rights. We should know our rights, and what, you know, somebody does this kind of thing to you, you should stand up to your right. But you know, we Africans will be like, we hand it over to God, and they themselves, they are not handing it over to God. But we are still coming to that. They would take you to, like, they would embarrass the living the life out of you.
Let me just even add. You see, fundamental human rights is one of the easiest and fastest litigation in courts. But most people, being ignorant of it, they don't want to explore, take advantage of a fundamental human right process to redress whatever wrong that might have been done. Even if you are an individual, if as a person, as a private person, I arrest you and lock you up, you have the right to sue me for detaining you, for infringing on your liberty. It's not only law enforcement agencies alone, even an individual. A child can sue the father because the father decides to lock him up.
Not in
Please,
Africa.
please don't bring that one to Africa. Well, like he has rightly said,
Yeah.
you see, when your right is being breached, the fastest way to hold the hands of the police are doing their job. Because without the police, you realize that there are so many criminal elements that want to turn our society into a living nightmare.
Yes.
So what the police are doing, and other law enforcement agencies, is to ensure that the people go to their homes and live peaceful and secure lives, which is, when you talk about under the law, you talk about public order and public peace. So the police try to ensure that. But when you find out that your right is being violated, any of the rights under Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution, you have the right to approach a high court, whether federal or state, for the enforcement of your fundamental right. And once you file and serve, it operates as a stay of that action pending the determination of the motion. So that is the fastest way. So anybody that maybe you got into a police matter and at the end of the day you realize that your person is being kept in the police cell longer than necessary, the law has prescribed the time. It says when there is a court within 40 kilometers radius, then 1 day. If it is above 2 days, so within 2 days you take the person to the court. And then the police to recognize this as overnight. They call it overnight. So not that they don't know. That is, you just arrested and wander around the street today. Tomorrow it should be in court as an overnight matter. If there is a court within 40 kilometers from where we are sitting now, the person is taken to that court. But if the person is kept for more than a week and they say they have not concluded investigation and all that, just get a lawyer to file enforcement of fundamental right and serve them. Maybe within the next 1 day, you find out that your word will come back home, because the police will have realized that filing of fundamental right, the court has taken over that matter. So that is the easiest way.
Yeah, well, if I may add something to that, the law equally permits police to detain somebody longer pending investigation, but they must go to court and have that remand order before they can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So now to continue, we want to talk about the conditions for arrest by a police officer without warrant, and that is captured by Section 38 of the Police Act, which says that a police officer may, without warrant or order of the court, arrest a suspect in the following circumstances. Number one is a person whom he suspects on reasonable grounds of having committed an offense against the law in Nigeria or against the law of any other country. So it's not even only Nigeria. Even if the person went to US, committed an offense, ran back to Nigeria, and the police is aware that such a person is coming, or there is a connection of the police people, they call it Interpol.
Yes.
So unless the law creating the offense provides that the suspect cannot be arrested without warrant, in which case he has to get a warrant. Now number two, when he commits any offense in the presence of the police officer, so if he fights in the presence of a police officer or kills or steals, the police officer can arrest him without a warrant. Now when he obstructs a police officer, this aspect is very important. When he obstructs a police officer while in the execution of his duty, a lot of us are very guilty of this. When he obstructs a police officer while in the execution of his duty, or when he escapes or attempts to escape from lawful custody. Let us take the first arm of it. When he obstructs a police officer, you find out that some people, maybe the person is not the person that committed the offense. There is a reason why I want to explain this.
Okay.
Because the law says that you cannot go and arrest some other person because of, that's what the law says, because of the offense committed by another person. But let us look at a situation where the police came and asked for a item. And Akpan comes out and then informs Satan, who was in the house, to jump out of the window. Under that circumstance, Akpan is liable for obstruction of the course of justice, if not accessory after the fact. Depending on the offense. If not accessory after the fact, is liable for obstruction of course of justice. The police officer came to arrest Mr. Okon. Allow him do his job. When they are taking him to the police station, you follow him there. Find out what he did, and then secure his bail if the offense is bailable. Okay. If the offense is not bailable, you apply to the High Court through a summons for bail. And if the court finds that there is merit in that application, the court will grant that bail, pending the trial. But so many people, by the time the police is come, they will come and say, she is the mother, you can't arrest my son. He's the father, you can't arrest my son. You have rendered yourself liable for obstruction of course of justice, and you are liable to be arrested. And when you are arrested, if the matter gets to court, how many months imprisonment? 6 months, right?
6 months.
6 months imprisonment. If you allow that matter get to court, 6 months, because the police knew that they came to arrest Mr. Kwan on a charge of murder, on a charge of armed robbery. He is presumed to be innocent until he's proven guilty. So what you allow is, allow the course of justice to prevail, and then you follow up if there is anything the man wants you to do, maybe by bringing exhibits or evidence before the court to show that he is innocent. That is your job as his brother and sister and friend, not to come and jump and say you cannot arrest, or to tell him, see, your police is coming. Once you are arrested and the matter, depending on the gravity of that offense, you are liable to 6 months imprisonment. So that was that one.
I have a question before you proceed.
Please.
You know, I've also seen a case where someone is killed in an area, and then information reaches the police that someone has just been gunned down. You know, also mentioning the name of the person who committed the offense.
Yes.
But when they get to the area, they don't see the person who committed the murder. They arrest
mass
the entire,
arrest.
you know,
Mass
why?
arrest.
No,
Because you have said it here that you
No, the police is right. In the case of,
but you didn't mention it.
no. Maybe that is where I want to clarify.
Okay.
The police is right under that circumstance. Somebody has been shot to death. That is a murder case.
Yes.
And there were people in that scene. There were people there in that scene who saw.
But they did not commit the
No, listen. Who saw? They may have seen the color of vehicle that was driven by the assailants. They may have seen the faces of the people that were involved. So under that grievous circumstance, maybe armed robbery or murder, everybody that is found there, the police is right to arrest everybody.
At the scene of the crime.
At the scene of that is it. At the scene of the crime, they are right to arrest everybody. It is when you now get to the station, you make your statements. They didn't arrest Okon because of the wanted item. Get the difference. Okay. We are looking at a situation where they came in and they said, please, who is Mr. Okon Etemagban? And they said, oh, sir, he has gone out. And they now ask the question, does he have a wife? He said, okay, that is a wife. And they arrest that wife. That is what we are looking at too. Okay, see his son. I'm coming. Let's clarify the audience. Okay. See his son here, and they arrest that son. And say, okay, when your father hears that you are in police cell, he will come.
Out, yes.
That is what we are saying is that the law does not allow that. But in a situation where somebody, we are just sitting down now, and the gunshot, and then somebody falls down, and the police comes to that scene, everybody that is around that area is a potential suspect. It is when all of us get to the police station that after our statements, they now realize that we know nothing about that crime. That is when they will start giving bail. Upon that, you have to bring a reasonable surety to get the bail, for the perfection of that bail. So that in the case you are wanted, yes, because they come, I can tell a lie. But later, from the various statements that will be made, it will now point back to me that I have an idea. Okay, he was the one working with the man that shot the gun. Let's look at that kind of situation. That barrister was working with the man that actually shot the gun. The police now have the right to come back to me to find out who were you working with. So you see the circumstance. So everybody at that scene, where there is a murder, where there is an armed robbery, where there is a kidnapping, all of them are suspects. So the police have the right to arrest. But coming to ask for Barrister Kenneth, and they say, he's not, they say, where is that his son? They say, see, he now picks his son to the cell. That is the one that is wrong. That is what the law does not agree. So you can ask what you wanted to ask.
Okay, so if you, for instance, you come and arrest me because something happened in my area, and I'm being taken to the station, and when you ask, because I'm not always around, I leave very early for work, I come back late at night. I only came to hear that something happened in my area,
yes.
And you're coming to pick me up. I just came back. I barely stay in the house, and I give out my statement that I know nothing about what happened. You're still forcing that I know something. This is what happens. You keep forcing me to say what I don't know. You see, that is why when something happens in a particular area here in Nigeria, I realize that they leave the area for at least 1 week.
Don't give yourself stress. It's just the police trying to do their job. They are trying to. The policemen are just like people who are going to fish. So they keep putting their nets to see whether they can catch fish. Get out something out of you. But the issue is that in a situation where you make a statement that was not voluntary at the police station, that is, they are forced you to say what you didn't, maybe they ask you and you write it down. The law will allow the court, that is, you can retract that statement in case the matter gets to court. You can retract, and then there is a particular procedure that they now have at the police station, which is very commendable. That when you finish making the statement, they will actually hand it over to a superior officer for him to countersign that you have accepted that that is what you said. So even if the man there forced you to say all that, and then by the time he gets to the superior officer, yes, and the man now say, come and read, did you say this? You say, no, this one I didn't say it. He must have written it down. All those portions will be struck out. Then there is another arm of it, which is at the court. It can be retracted as a statement that you made. You can actually tell the court that this was the circumstance you were under duress, under undue influence when you made that statement.
I think you call it trial within trial.
Yes, they conduct a trial within trial, and during that trial you can actually retract that statement. But the court, what the court will now do is to look at the way to attach, depending on the veracity. Because some people will come tell the truth, but by the time they meet their lawyer, not the lawyer, by the time they get to the prison and then mix up with the prisoners, that is what normally, that's the truth. You now get to find out that they now want to change their entire statement.
Yes.
So the court will look at the credibility of the statement, the veracity of that statement that you made earlier, and try to compare it with the statement you are making now. And then try to compare it with the cross-examination that will be conducted in that court. And then come up with the true position and know the weight to attach to that retracted statement. You understand? Yes. So all these things have checks and balances. That is what we are trying to say. Okay. So let's go on. Where in
you want to add something?
Okay, do.
Because you said I was not around, something happened. Then by the time I come back, you learn that something happened. You decide to leave
the police normally come around 5 a.m. It's around 5. That time we sleep. That time that sleep is so sweet. That's when they normally.
This one, the person may decide to leave that environment for 1 or 2 years.
Yes.
Why do you run away? Let them arrest you, or you report at their station if they need your service that you are wanted. Go there and tell them that you were at so place. It lasts for at the earliest opportunity. You tell the police that you were at 5 Egeris Street, Calabar, and the incident happened at 19 Ambu. It's the duty of the police to investigate.
That's true.
That's alibi.
That's alibi. Yes.
It's their duty.
They will investigate to find out whether you actually were Star-Crossed TV on that day throughout. And then this program that we are actually doing is even evidence pointing to the fact that you were at Star-Crossed television by 7 o'clock when that murder was committed. This very program now, all you need to do is to show them that, as at that time, I was at Star-Crossed conducting or presenting a program, and that leaves you off the hook. So there's no need to be afraid.
Okay.
So where in his possession anything is found which is reasonable, suspected to be stolen property, we are looking at where a police officer or anybody, a private person can arrest you, or who may be reasonably be suspected of having committed an offense with reference to the thing, and where the person is suspected on reasonable grounds of being a deserter from any of the armed forces of Nigeria. You remember that thing that happened to Jonah? Anybody that runs away from the presence of his duty is a deserter. So Jonah was a deserter, and that was why the army of God arrested him. Remember now the fish?
Yes.
The fish arrested him.
I have a question here before you proceed.
Okay, go on.
Okay, from Sister Gladys Onyabo. She says, very interesting and impactful program. Keep up the great work. Please, I have a question here for you. The police services all over the world have in some cases gone out of their ways, done things beyond control. How come at times the innocent people are the ones dealt with and culprits walk away free? What advice do you have concerning this? George Floyd, yes, is the one I tried to. George Floyd and so many here in America died in the hands of police officers. Thank you, most merciful Abba Father, for being our greatest defender and protector.
Yeah, I think what that issue she has raised.
Let's take this.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Hello, good evening. How are you? What's your name?
This of the Father.
Perfect, please.
Wonderful children of the Father. There, like, actually, sent the question of the YouTube. You not answer the question I had.
Sister Gladys, is that you?
Services all over the world. I don't know if you want me to speak or you want to read it and then they answer the questions I have.
Go on. But we were on it before your call came in, Sister Gladys. But you can still proceed.
No?
You can proceed. We were on it before your call came in.
Okay, yes, I already asked the question. I sent it in, but I've not seen you giving answers to the questions I asked concerning the police services all over the world.
Yes, we are about doing that. Just give us time, man. Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
God bless you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Amen. Thank you so much for calling us in.
So what I was trying to say is that before she called in, that question is ubiquitous everywhere. People go in for what they did not commit, and there are several reasons. One of them is being at the wrong place at the wrong time. You understand? The people that are actually planning to commit the offense, they had a plan of action that they want to. They know where they are going to commit the offense. They know the type of offense they want to commit there. And then somebody innocently walks in. Let's paint a scenario and be fast about it because of time.
Okay.
You have not seen your friend for 10 years. And then you were going to, let me say, what? And then you see your friend and you are talking. You didn't know that your friend or your classmate had become a kidnapper. And the police have been on his trail. And the police saw you. He himself that knows he's a criminal, he didn't want to waste time with you. Oh, hello, okay, I'm coming. Immediately, he has escaped and they come and meet, okay, not you. They come and meet that person. Sure, they will arrest him.
Yes.
That person you are just talking to. That is the first circumstance. For most people, that is their problem. Two, you are somebody's friend on Facebook. That is why we advise people, you don't know somebody, don't go and friend the person on Facebook. And then the person has committed an offense. And then both of you are chatting on WhatsApp and Facebook. And they arrest you. That person you are chatting on Facebook has committed so offense. Now you have been chatting, we have been following your chat because the police have this master, they have a connection with the service providers. So they get everything. Meanwhile, you don't know that person. Worse are our female folk, our women. You don't know that person from Adam, you are friending the person on Facebook. You can go to jail for that person. You can even go to the hangman noose for that person because at the end of the day, provide this person. You chatted with this person yesterday. Provide him, provide her. And you are saying we just met on Facebook.
I think it happens mostly in the airports.
That's another
drug dealers.
Yes, that's another arm of it. Another arm where the person is where the person resist arrest. The police are telling him hands up and he's putting his hand in his pocket. What the police believe under that circumstance, I want to bring out a gun.
Yes.
So they will shoot you. Let's just cut it. Where they know that, for instance, in the United States, they know that every citizen has a right to carry a weapon around, and they say, hands up, and then you refuse. Your hands are still in your pocket. They are apprehended that the next thing that will come is a shot, so they shoot you first. So those are about 3 circumstances. There are more where a person that did not commit an offense can have a problem with the police or run foul of the law or even be executed in the process summarily because the person did not follow. Another one is keeping bad friends. Your father sent you to school. Your father believes you are in the hostel. You had left the hostel or the dormitory and you are in a friend's house. And the process, an offense is committed. Or the person that is living in that house already committed an offense and was wanted by the police. I have seen that case as a very young person, where a guy was executed for armed robbery. He was a university student. If all the recommendations that were written on behalf of that boy did not save him, because the armed robbers kept saying he was there. The armed robbers kept saying he was there. Each time they called him and asked, he said he was there. And the young man said he was not there, he was in the school. And the next thing that the robbers were trying to say, if you are going to execute us and you leave this man, then our blood will be on you. And so under that circumstance, what will the police do? They kill all of them. So if your father sent you to school, he sent you to go and learn a trade, go first that thing. Don't go and keep unnecessary friends, run away from where you are. Because like he was talking about alibi, that would have been an alibi. I was at the construction site when this happened. But you were right there in that guy's house. You were right there in that woman's house. So what will you say? If the offense was committed right in that house, if the person died in that house or was killed in that house, and you were there, are you not a suspect? Let's get these things right. So the police is not God. It is only God that is all-seeing and all-knowing. They act on evidence before them. So if there is evidence to show that you were within any range when there was a commission of an offense, you understand, then you are a suspect. Okay. So if he has what to may have what to add, then. But for me,
no, time is
okay.
Okay, Sister Gladys, I hope he has been able to answer your questions.
Now, another ground is when the person is suspected of having been involved in an act committed at a place. You see, we were even talking about that. If committed, will have been punished as an offense and for which he is under a law enforced in Nigeria, liable to be apprehended and detained. Then when he has in possession without lawful excuse any implement of housebreaking, we're even talking about it.
Yes.
If he has in his possession without lawful excuse any implement of housebreaking, car theft, firearm, or any other offensive or dangerous weapon, the police has a right to arrest. Okay, let's assume now we saw somebody holding a gun and the police van was coming behind and they saw him holding, wouldn't they arrest him? Somebody must have given him the gun to go and give to some other person. Somebody must have given him the drug, the hard drugs to go and deliver to some other person. But don't forget, that person that gave the hard drugs is not there. And he's the one in possession. What we call possession.
Which the law permits.
You understand? So the law, to arrest him under that circumstance. And if he cannot provide, the person that gave him that gun and hard drugs is going in for that person. Those are the circumstances. Okay. Now, when he's taking precautions to conceal his presence in circumstances which afford reason to believe that he's taking such precaution with a view to committing an offense. You remember the Bible portion that says that a sinner runneth when no man pursueth. So when somebody is running and nobody is pursuing him, there is reason for police to arrest him. Now, when the officer has been directed to arrest a person by a magistrate or a high court judge, he will arrest him. Where the person is reasonably suspected to be planning to commit an offense for which the police officer may arrest without a warrant, if it appears to him that the commission of the offense cannot be otherwise prevented, For instance, he has seen that the person, he's threatened to kill Mr. Kun and he's actually with a machete. There's no way the police will not arrest him on that day. When the arrest is for the protection of a child, very important, or a vulnerable person. If it is for the protection of a child, the police will arrest. Then to protect the suspect in question from causing physical injury to himself or any other person, like the issue of the machete we are talking about, the assault weapon, suffering physical injury, causing loss of or damage to property, committing an offense against public decency, when members of the public are going about their normal business, the police has to arrest. For instance, if somebody is walking and they know the person is not mad, all of a sudden he start undressing on the road, you have to arrest him. You understand? Now, where the person causes unlawful obstruction of the highway, go and block the road, the police will arrest. No person shall be arrested without warrant except in the circumstances provided above. And then the authority given to a police officer to arrest a suspect who commits an offense in his presence is exercisable in that respect, in the respect of offenses committed in the officer's presence, notwithstanding the act creating the offense, provided that the suspect cannot be arrested without warrant. So those are the circumstances where a private person or a police officer can effect an arrest. And as we go down, we will find out who a private person is under the circumstances, who can be defined as a private person. So I don't know whether my learned friend has anything to add. Can go.
Well, this is on the private person. Or what
No, but what we have just discussed.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you so very much for doing justice to that. Now we'll move over to the next question. What's the role of a private person pertaining the arrest and prosecution of an offender? Okay, let's take this phone. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Bayelsa State. My name is Graham Noah.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Noah, you're welcome.
Please proceed, you're welcome.
Yes, my name is Graham Noah.
Okay.
From Bayelsa.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks for
Yeah.
calling. Please proceed. What's your question?
There is one thing we used to observe from the police. Sometimes when we are traveling, or we are going to church, or we are coming back from church. Police in a checkpoint will now say, open your bag, we want to see your bag. Sometimes you forcefully open your bag, put your hand to begin to touch your bag. How do you interpret those actions from the police? Is it right or wrong? That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Graham. Please stay tuned and listen to the response from the barristers. Thank you.
Will you respond? Okay. My friend, Mr. Noah, under Section 37 of the 1999 Constitution, you have a right to privacy. But there can be a derogation of that right in the public interest, in the interest of public safety. Now, if, for instance, you are traveling on the highway and there is suspicion or there is an information that some group of persons are armed and that they are using that road, in the process of this recovering those arms or those drugs, for instance, they say there are people are carrying hard drugs, which is against the law of Nigeria. If there is such an information on the highway that the people just pass through that Bayelsa road, the police have a right to stop and search. They have a right to stop and search.
Every vehicle.
Yes, they have, under their duty of investigation, they have the right to stop and search every vehicle and every passenger in order to recover those arms.
Okay.
They have also, in order to ensure that the commission of that offense is not carried out. If, for instance, they were targeting that people, maybe if between a Bayelsa and a Hoda, that the offense is going to be committed, you know, there can be a police station at Bayelsa and then the next one at a Hoda, so that there can be 2 or 3 checkpoints to ensure that those people from Bayelsa do not infiltrate into a Hoda. So under that circumstance, your right has not been infringed. Your right is only infringed if they come and search your bag and actually see one of those items that were looked for. You will find out that it is only those people that they will recover those items from that they will ask to drop from the vehicle. The rest of the people will continue.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too, Mr. Graham. Noah, I hope he has been able to answer your question. Yeah, before the call came in.
Yeah, we're talking about a private person.
Yes.
And the definition of a private person under the law is different from the ordinary definition. Now, by the ordinary definition, it says a private person is an individual person. But under the law, a private person is a natural or artificial person. A natural or artificial person. So it includes, for instance, Brotherhood of the registered trustees of Brotherhood of the Cross and Star is a private person, because it is an artificial person. Just like any company, just like any partnership, just like any trust, and just like any other entity or government establishment which is not charged with the duty of detection of crime. Now, what are we trying to say? We are trying to say that, for instance, if it is the duty of Civil Defense Corps to watch our pipelines and oil minerals, you understand, and in the process they catch a petty thief, the man stole fish, it is not the duty of Civil Defense Corps to prosecute for that offense. So the civil defense under that circumstance is a private person towards that offense. So all they will do is to arrest the petty thief and hand over to the police. Now, for instance, if the police caught someone in the process of breaking our pipeline, our oil pipeline, you will now discover that it is the duty of the police to hand over that suspect to the Security and Civil Defense Corps, because that is their core mandate. If, for instance, the police arrest a deserter, that is somebody that ran away from the armed force or any of the armed forces, it is not their duty. They will hand him over to the army for a court martial. So you see how the definition is, because each of these security outfits and bodies, you understand, they have their core mandate. If Brotherhood of the Cross and Star, for instance, hires a security outfit to secure maybe a Brotherhood premises, that security outfit is a private person. So the way they expect them to behave in the arrest of a private person is different from the police, who have the right to arrest and prosecute. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So now, like I said under the law, a person is either a natural or an artificial person. A natural person is the ordinary individual, like Barrister Kenneth, or group of individuals, while an artificial person is a government establishment, a corporation, a partnership, a religious organization, or a trust or company. And I said, for instance, the registered trustees of the Brotherhood of the Cross and Star is an artificial person. Now, the role of a private person in the arrest and prosecution of an offender is multifaceted. However, there are 4 major roles a private person can play in the regard, and they include information gathering to forestall and prevention of the commission of the offense, information gathering, and on the prevention of the offense. 2, to assist the law enforcement agencies in the arrest of the offenders. Like I painted that picture, we're just sitting down, so chief, and then their people are there. Those people are expected to grab that person that is running into them.
And also, I think it also has something to do with the question Mr. Graham
yes. So now, especially where the offense is committed in their presence. They have a right to apprehend that person. Don't forget that, like in the case of murder, all those people that were involved, they may be accessory after the fact of murder if they don't come out to say, no, we actually saw him committing the offense. Then number 3, to ensure compliance with the law and order in the handling of suspects and accused persons, especially to avoid jungle justice. You know what normally happens? Tifo, before you know it, tire has come out. They have set him on fire. So these private persons will ensure, because that person is presumed to be innocent, so this private person will ensure that he does not meet jungle justice before even handed over to the law enforcement agencies. And number 4, they have to serve as a witness for the prosecution and for the defense throughout the period of the case till the offender is convicted or released. On this point, the law is that evidence of one witness, if believed by the court, can sustain a criminal charge, even a murder case, as the evidence does not provide the number of witnesses to be called in support of a case. Not that an artificial person has the right to serve as a witness in a criminal case. We are now talking that Brotherhood of the Cross and Star can actually be a witness in a criminal case, provided it is registered under the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Let us see section 341 of CAMA 2020 and the common law rule in force and Harbour. You understand? Now, by the provisions of section 39 of the Police Act, a private person may arrest a suspect in Nigeria who in his presence commits an offense, or who the person actually suspects. A private person may arrest a suspect who in his presence commits an offense, or who the person reasonably to have committed an offense for which the police is entitled to arrest without warrant. And by the provision of section 40 of the Police Act, a private person who arrests a suspect shall immediately hand over that suspect. Immediately hand over that suspect so arrested to a police officer, or in the absence of a police officer, shall take that suspect to the nearest police station. That is what we are trying to say. And the police shall make a note of the name and address and particulars of the private person for the purposes of calling him as a witness. You understand? That was the main reason why we brought up this topic. Because, for instance, we are in church, for instance, most times in the church, tifo, and then what does the law say? When you arrest him, maybe you apprehend him, maybe there is a gate, you close the gate. You understand? Maybe there is a particular place you can keep him, where he cannot escape, you keep him. What the law expects you to do is to immediately get in contact with the nearest police officer and hand him over to a police officer. But if there is no police officer around, you hand him over to the police station within a reasonable time. But the law says immediately. But let us look at the situation that maybe the chief security officer is not around, and you want the chief security officer to come and give you directive on how to handle the suspect. Let's assume that is what may take your time. What the law expects you to do to immediately, don't put him at the security post, don't lock him in the toilet for 3 days. That is not what the law expects you to do, because there are consequences, and as we get down you see the consequences. Now, by section 40 subsection 2, where there is reason to believe that the arrested suspect comes under the provisions of subsection 1, a police officer shall rearrest him. You see, now by the time you get to the station, the police officer will rearrest him. Now, under section 40 sub 3, that where there is reason to believe that the suspect has committed an offense and he refuses on demand of a police officer to give his name and address, which the police officer reasonably believes to be false, the provisions of section 61 of the act shall apply. Then section 40 sub 4 says that where a suspect so arrested by a private person is handed over to a police or an official of an agency authorized by law to make arrest, the police officer or officials shall take note of the name. You see, at that point, what all this section is saying, that at that point you have handed over, the police now takes over the prosecution of that offense. The law does not expect you to conduct a trial by ordeal, or to now imprison the suspect by yourself, or to take reasonable action of punishment on that person. It is the law that when the court of competent jurisdiction sits, and finds that person guilty, they are the ones to provide and pronounce the
Offender.
no, they provide the commensurate punishment for that offense. The private person does not have that right. Okay. Now, under section 43 sub 1, that the suspect who is arrested, whether with or without, shall be taken immediately to a police station or other place for the reception of suspect, and should be promptly informed of the allegation made against him in the language that he understands. Now, for the sake of time, I would have loved my brother to look at the liabilities of the person effecting and securing arrest, because after you may have, made the mistake of holding him or telling lies against him, and then by the time they go to prosecute him, they now realize that these were lies. There are consequences, there are liabilities on such private persons. So let my learned friend quickly take some of those liabilities, since we are running out of time.
It is the fact that everybody are supposed to be partner in keeping the law or the society safe for everybody. Every citizen has an obligation to do that. And on the process of discharging this function, we may, along the line, contravene or breach another person's right. As my colleague has said, once you arrest a person, the law expects you to immediately hand over such a person to an authorized body that will proceed. Now, suppose I'm arrested by a private organization. Remember our definition of the private person. Could be a company, could be an individual, could be a trust, it could be a partner. I'm arrested, and they decided to detain me or restrict my movement or torture me. I have the rights to seek redress from appropriate quarter, because it is the only duty a private person is expected is a support. Okay. You don't have to inflict any punishment of whatever dimension on the person arrested or the person you want restricts his or her movement. Take it to appropriate. Is it police? Or even if police is not police establishment is not around, you don't see police officer. There are other law enforcement agencies. It's better you hand over so that you don't walk. You see, even the police, the law court is there so that even when the police are doing their normal duty to arrest, prosecute, but they must do it within the bounds of the law. So if the police that have been constitutionally, statutorily clothed with the power to arrest can be liable, how much more a private person? So the fact is this: once a private person arrests somebody or infringe or attempt to in the process of maintaining law and order, you must, it's a must, hand over. Else the person can either sue you for breach of his rights or may go to court and file a case against you. So even when we are doing this job, we must do within the confines of the law.
Okay. Thank you so very much. This is 8:28. We've run out of time already. I want to say a very big thank you to you. I'm thinking that this would have part 3 because we are not done with this yet. I don't know for the barristers, maybe we'll talk behind the camera. Thank you so very much, beloved viewer, for your time. We do not take it lightly. We do not take it for a joke. Thank you. May the Father bless you abundantly. Shining Star Comedy Show, thank you so very much. It says, may the peace and blessings of the Father be with you all. Amen. Thank you, the callers. Thank you. May the Father bless you abundantly. All right, so now you know everything about the discussion of today. Now you know that everything is created in a balance. Yeah. During the Morning Star Breakfast show, I mentioned this. So in everything, there is higher authority. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. Yes, there are private persons, and they have who to report to, and even the police cannot do everything on their own, as they have also the courts, to report to. So everything is created in a balance. Do not want to do everything on your own. Now we are not done with this. By I think next week or upper week, we are going to be rounding up with this. For now, I'm saying thank you so very much. May the Father bless you till we come your way next time. Remain blessed. My name is Ruth.
Television.